Rethinking Possible is a presentation of Covenant Exchange in partnership with RareGem Productions, hosted on the Inspiration Networks of OneRareGem.com. Uniquely positive. Learn more at OneRaregem.com.
Hello, everyone. How are you in your respective places? This is Nicci Roach, and you are tuned in to Rethinking Possible, and I am so excited to have in studio with me today, Koran Bolden. Those of you who do not know, trust me, once we wrap up this conversation, you will want to know who he is and get him in your space. Trust me. So we'll be right back.
Really, one thing could throw you off your game completely. You could be dealing with that hit for the longest.
I was diagnosed on February 19th of this year. I remember the day vividly, even down to the type of socks I wore that day. Devastating only to hear the words cancer, knowing that it doesn't have to be a death sentence, but it is a very difficult diagnosis to hear.
Be determined to bounce back. You can work it out, one piece at a time. Take 5.
I have a rule of 3, so I never allow myself more than 3 days to be mad, upset, angry about something, and on that 3rd day I make a choice. And so for me, my 3rd day with breast cancer came on a Saturday. So I woke up that day and made a choice. It was easy because my son had a basketball game that day, so it made it easy to be positive and cheering on his little basketball team.
A setback is just a setup for a comeback. You can work it out. Take care of your mind just like you do everything else. Be alive and well. Find out more about what you can do to bounce back. Go to aliveandwellstl.com.
RareGem Productions proudly presenting The Positive.
Hello, it's Nicci Roach, and you are listening to Rethinking Possible, and my special guest that's joining me today is Koran Bolden, right here in St. Louis, Missouri, but he is global, and he is a national award-winning youth speaker and entrepreneur whose vision is to mentor young America on how to develop the courage, confidence, and creativity needed to be influential in the marketplace, education, and entrepreneurship through the arts. Hello, Mr. Bolden. How are you?
Hey, how you doing? I am doing well. How are you doing today?
On top of the world.
On top of the world.
And you with this energy, this craziness. This is going to be an interesting dialogue. That's all I'm going to say.
I believe so. I am in agreement.
So, oh my goodness. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So let's just jump right in. You have mastered this public speaking craft. You are training people, you're developing people, You've put the pen to paper with rock, paper, scissors. We'll get into it in a little bit.
All right.
Music, the arts, just all of that. Let's just start here. When did you find your purpose in life?
Wow, that is a really good question.
Yeah, because you have so much going on. When did you find your purpose?
When did I find my purpose? I would say probably around the age of 12 is when I first had like an inkling that I was like something different. I knew that there was something different about the way that I thought, internalized information, and I just felt like I heard this voice following me all throughout life. And so I guess the first time that I noticed that I had the calling to do something great was around the age of 12. And then, you always have that gray area, right? You feel like you're called to do something great. And then all of a sudden you start getting all these distractions coming your way. And so I had a lot of different distractions growing up. I lost my brother to gun violence at the age of 8, and my dad was never around. And so I'm having all these social, emotional issues going on. But it took me around to about the age of 27 is when I really actually found myself. And I said, hey, there has to be more to life than just getting up, paying bills, moping around, complaining about life. I am about to come up with some solutions and change my life, or there's nothing else for me to live for. And so I was just that dedicated, though. And I knew for a fact that there was something on the inside of me that was telling me that if I went on this new journey, that I would not be disappointed if I started to take a few steps. So I took 1 step and 2 steps and 3 steps. And many steps later, I'm here talking to Miss Nicci Roach. I feel like a celebrity. I'm talking to Nicci Roach.
Whatever.
Y'all understand?
Whatever. I'm talking to Mr. I don't even want to say Mr. Roach. Let me say Dr. Bolden.
Okay now.
Let's stay right in that space. So you have a number of different things that happen, that occur as you're progressing into your adulthood. And was there anything during that time that caused you to, I would say, fall deeper? Because oftentimes we hear the story. Oh my gosh, I was doing this, and then, okay, the light went off, or the switch was flipped,
Right,
and
right.
I changed my life. Was it somewhere in there where you just tried to get on the right path because you said you knew something greater was for you, but we can get discouraged in that space.
Right. I know exactly what you're talking about. And I remember a time when I was probably around the age of maybe like 24, when I really started to have this awareness of myself and the capabilities of what I could do if I start to get my life right. And I felt really convicted about a lot of things that I was doing. I wasn't becoming who I should have become. And I knew that time was ticking and I'm not where all these bad things are happening to me. So one day I decided to go to church one day, right? So listen.
This is what I'm looking for.
This is what you're looking for. This is what you're looking for.
Because I'm telling you, we get the ice cream lolly dolly side of the story, but it's like, what is it what really caused the shift? So keep going.
So I went to church one day. I was like on my last leg. I was just really in a dark place. I'm not gonna lie. So if anybody's in a dark place right now, I want you to stay tuned because what I'm about to tell you is going to be very real and you're going to connect with this. But listen, I went to church one day and I felt, have you ever been to church and you feel like the pastor, the preacher is talking directly to
like
you?
It's a setup.
Like it's a setup.
Right.
Like, no, he's not talking to anybody else in here. He's talking to me.
And it's almost uncomfortable, right?
It was very uncomfortable. And I started to feel a few little tears come down my face. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe you're supposed to cry at church. Because I grew up like, I wasn't like forced to go to church, but I had a praying grandmother. And so anytime something happened, I call her and she'd make me feel good. So she was almost like my pastor. I was never like really like forced to go to church. And my mom, she was a registered nurse. So she would always, be at work. Didn't have my dad around. And so I went to church and I'm starting to feel something I cannot explain. Like it was something like supernatural happening to me. And I started to feel something. And for the first time, I walked down that aisle and gave my life to the Lord. And I boo-hooed down at the altar. And you know what was so beautiful about that? Because as a man, we often think that tears is a sign of weakness, and I'm not saying just crying all the time, but I'm saying like this particular time, I didn't even care. I gave it all.
You surrendered.
I surrendered and I didn't care who was looking at me. I didn't feel embarrassed. I let my tears go and I felt like I had become more of a man at that moment than I had ever been trying to be rough, tough, and trying to be what everybody else told me to be or what society say what a man looks like.
That's an interesting point. Why do you say you were more of a man at that point than any other?
I think the vulnerability. I think that a lot of times that we're putting on this huge facade that, we got it all together. And how can you get help if you don't go? If you go into the doctor's office and the doctor say, hey, how can I help you today? And you've been having pain somewhere and you don't tell the doctor what's going on. How can he fix you? He can't help you. And so at that moment, when you surrender to God, when I surrendered to God down there on that altar and I made that long walk, that walk was real long. It felt like a mile-long walk down the aisle. I felt like I had surrendered and I wasn't afraid to let people know that I had some issues going on. And it can be a very embarrassing thing walking down because you letting everybody know, hey, my life is messed up right now and I need Jesus to fix this for me right now. And so when I went down there, I didn't even quite even understand everything. Like, you got to understand, like, I didn't even know a lot of stories in the Bible, period. So I just knew that if I didn't go down there, I need some help. And I didn't care. And it was at like a mega church, too. And so I didn't even care. I didn't care who seen me crying. I didn't care about my status. I didn't care about my popularity. I didn't care about who would know that I am needing something in my life. And I surrendered, and I felt like a huge weight was lifted off of me. And I bust into tears, and I didn't care. And I woke up the very next day, and I felt more free. I felt free. I felt full of life. But going back to what you're saying is that gray area. So if there's anybody that I start to work with when I'm mentoring, I always tell them that the minute that you start to take one step forward, until that moment, the opposition may have been tough, but it's going to get even tougher now because, first of all, there's always an opposing force just trying to knock you down. But when you start to say that you're going to be something great, there is a greater opposing force that tries to discourage you, to try to make you think Notice I said make you think in a delusional.
Yes, Jade and I we call it the committee. She introduced the committee to me about a month ago, and we get lost in the committee, which is the voices that we hear, and oftentimes it's our own voice.
And I know, you know what, I talked to somebody one day, and I said, you know what, I can help you, and I'm telling you, I can really help you, but you got to listen to what I'm saying. But it's going to be tough, and it might get worse. And they said, you know what they said to me? They said, "Well, I already got enough stuff going on. I just would rather stay where I'm at than to go forward." And I said, "Wow, like we sometimes get so defeated in our mind with the stuff that we've been through that we are afraid of the opposition." But all of the greats that have ever done anything great in life, they've looked forward to the opposition because they know what doesn't kill them actually really does. Not cliche, it really does make you strong.
There is a thing called the process. And it is in the process that actually what we need is what we get. It's not the destination and making it to where you're trying to go. So great point.
Yeah.
Great point.
It was crazy. And I promise that I really got knocked down after I said yes. I got knocked down. I got beat up and I walked away.
Because it was kind of, how bad do you really mean this?
Yeah, and it got really rough. I had never had that many things attacking me at the same time. And I honestly, just being very transparent, I actually stayed in for about a good 2 weeks. And I went to church one day, and my son, he was in the nursery room, and he was like, maybe like, I can't remember how old he was. I can't remember how old he was. He was a newborn, like 2, 3 or something like that. And he ended up taking a truck, and he like swung it or something, and he hit one of the kids, and they put my son out. And so when they put my son out, I was like, man, forget it. I'm just not going. I can't. It's too much going on. And I knew that was an attack, though. But back then I didn't know it was an attack. So I walked away from church and didn't come back until I turned around like 27. When I came back, I full-fledged went in, and the rest has been history since then.
And speaking of history, you are making it as you have become an expert brand master.
Oh, well, that's me, yeah. I'll go ahead and say, you got me. You got me.
I love it because I'm learning as we're talking as well, because we don't own who we are and what we are. And as a man thinketh, so is he.
Yep.
So thank you for, everybody, I'm learning. I'm in class right now, right?
Whatever. Now, come on, don't let her fool y'all. Come on, don't let her fool y'all now.
So what is it that you fear? Because now you're in this glorious space.
You have some really great questions. What is it that I fear? I don't think that there's honestly anything that I fear. Honestly, it says that like perfected love casts out all fear. And so every single day, I love what I'm doing. When you walk in your calling, there is no fear. I don't have fear anymore.
Why do you think that some of us don't take advantage of our calling? Because I think many of us know it, or we have an idea, but taking that step to tap into it and to live in it.
I think that one of the biggest things after I've spoken to various different people of all different walks of life, and I've mentored and I've coached people, I think that sometimes that some of us are actually afraid of becoming successful. And I'll tell you why.
You're my preacher today. I'm singled out.
I think, there's two reasons, and I know we talked about this before, but one reason is that most of the people that do really great in life, those are people that don't want to be in the front. So they don't really want to build up a personal brand or be seen or be out in the public. They just want to push from behind. But God picks and chooses those people that never want to be in the front. Those people that just think about everybody else. He can use those vessels because they will do his perfect will without having these wrong motives. And then number two is that sometimes our past, we've made so many mistakes in our past. We feel like if we start to display our gifts and our talents, is somebody gonna bring their past up on us? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want nobody to know what I did. They're gonna come get me. And I want to let you know that literally, you think that some people out there may think that your successes are the things that engage people and move them, but it's actually your failures. And when you begin to share and be vulnerable and be transparent with people, people will begin to be transparent with you. And if you give mercy to people, people will be more merciful to you. And so every single day that I go out, I love what I do because I give mercy to the students that people have discounted and said that they would be nothing. And so I'm giving mercy out to them. And then even just being a human being, like you think about what if I make a mistake later on, then I'm out in the front and everybody, I don't really worry about those things. I just feel like if you're merciful and compassionate to people, they're going to give you chances after chances after chances. It's almost like your family. Like if your family member does something, you might not agree with it, but you still, at the end of the day, you love them unconditionally. And that's the type of love that I give out. It's not based on conditions. It's not based on whether you've been loyal to me, whether you've helped me out. Every single day, I give freely without expecting anything in return from anybody other than the man upstairs. And so that's how I live my life, and I choose to live it that way, and it's been working for me, and I love what I'm doing.
And speaking about family and friends and giving, you have climaxed and reached this point in your career. And you're just getting started.
Yes.
But you're at an amazing start. And there has, I'm sure, been shifts along the way. And people have to change. People have to fall off. Because if you want what you haven't had, you can't do what you've always done. So when it comes to the people that you keep yourself around, including family, because that's, I think, another barrier that as we are on this trajectory to, I'm using air quotes, success, because that's to me a personal thing. Things need to change.
Yes,
and that's not an easy thing. I know I went through my season of being a crybaby because the shift was so hard and so fast. But it's like I could touch what I was trying to go for. So it was like you either turn around and grab the hands of those who were behind you, not saying leaving them, but you have to continue to reach forward.
Right.
How have you adjusted with that? Because you've transitioned through some different phases of life.
Sure. I used to be very bitter about it, honestly. I used to be very bitter. I used to give to people and give, and then you look up and there's nobody there to give to you. And I used to just get tired of that. And so there was a point in my life where I really began to be very bitter every single day. I was doing the work. It's almost like somebody working at the church, but they just got a bad attitude. You serving, you on the usher.
Right, you need to just sit down, right?
This is not good for you anymore. Like, you don't like what you're doing. And so I had to take a vacation.
Get that person out your mind.
I had to take a vacation. Seriously. Like, don't put that person. Get it out your mind. So this is what I did. I took a vacation, and I really had a deep talk with myself. And what I started to understand is that you have to be very intentional about the mission that you're on. And it's up to you to tell people that come into your life what type of mission that is, and define the relationship that you're having. Don't let people just come into your life and just, because they don't know your expectations and you don't know theirs. And so when I have friends that are dear to me, there's two things that and this has happened recently for me, like as I'm growing and maturing into my walk, but there's two things that I require of anybody that's around me. The first is that this principle is to do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. And if you can't do it, just communicate that. So that's the first principle.
Yes.
So do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do it. And if you can't, even if it's the last minute, just communicate. I don't even have a problem. It's not the time. Yeah. It might not be the time. And I don't get upset if somebody promised me the world and then they don't just communicate and say, hey, you know what? I promised you that, but can you please give me about 3 more months so we can come back, because something just really happened in my life. And I'm cool with that. Yeah. The second principle that I have to have for anybody that's around me is that whatever amount of time that you would like to be friends with me, just give me your all in that amount of time.
Wow.
So if you want to be friends with me, and let's say, for instance, you want to come in and say, hey, I want to really help out with the vision, I want to volunteer. Okay, that's fine. How long do you want to volunteer? Because this may be seasonal, it may be for a lifetime. Most of the time it'll be seasonal. But what I want you to do is to tell me, how long can we really keep this thing going? Because if you say you can give me 3 months, just give me the best 3 months you ever gave. Like, go all in that 3 months. And then after the end of the 3 months, if you walk away and then you want to come back later and we decide to be friends again, then you say, I got a really good 12 months. I got 1 good year to give you. And then you come and you give me all. That keeps the relationship going. That lets me know that I can trust in you versus someone drifting off, versus somebody coming in and saying, hey, I'm going to promise you the stars, the moon, and everything else. And
they're like you texting, tweeting, everything, trying to find.
And we've all done it, right? Like, we all do it. And so, and so I'm trying to elevate my game too. And so this is not even necessarily just for people that want to be around me. I'm starting to learn that if you really want to do well in life, you just have to communicate yourself. And then you have to make sure you let people know up front, hey, this is what I can do. This is what I cannot do. Even if it's for 3 days, just give me the best 3 days ever. Yeah. And we'll be fine. But when you come into someone's life and then you come up like missing and stuff like that, that's just not really responsible. And so I've just really learned from my own life, not looking at anybody else, but I really learned from my own life that this is the type of life that I want to live. And these are the type of people that I also want to connect with. And so that's pretty much it.
That's good. So even in that, as people are doing that, they are showing you their personal brand. Yes. And some people don't understand what personal brand is. Yes. Because even if you don't even know you have one, trust me, you have one. All you have to do is stop about 10 people and ask them, what do they think about you? I often say, just ask them for one word that they would use to define you, or a word that they think of when they think of you. And trust me, something will be consistent and that will be your brand. You have control over that. But tell us, because this is where you are, to me, a genius. What is personal brand, and any other support that you can provide our listeners with?
So a lot of people, when you talk about brand, the brand has been thrown out so much that I think people are really kind of confused and they really don't understand what a brand is. But brand has nothing to do with an actual logo. That may be an extension, that may be an association with your brand, but that's not actually your brand. A brand is only this. It's a personal promise. And it's a personal promise. So when they see you, when they see your logo, when they see your face, it's a personal promise of
So where's my ink pen?
You're going to grab it?
Let me take my notes.
And so the things that are associated with your brand can be your face. It could be a logo. It could be the words. It could be the way you dress. Those are the associations with your brand. But a brand is just simply a personal promise that gives your customers an expectation to look forward to. So that's pretty much what a brand is. And so all of the other things are just associations of that brand. But it's a personal promise. And so when you walk up on someone, what type of personal promise are you going to give? What type of personal promise or interaction can they expect when they meet with you, when they see your brand? And this is what hurts your brand.
Interesting.
What hurts your brand is anytime that you do anything that goes up against your personal promise, you hurt your brand, and your brand loses trust and credibility. And that's why people have bad brands, because of that they went up against.
So you know I'm still in this.
Go ahead.
I will credit you for this. Your brand is your personal promise.
Personal promise.
This is the first time I've heard it put it that way. Thank you. I told you, Dr. Bolden.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
So you know what? Let's flip it a little bit, and then I want to jump into what it is that you're doing now. But before we jump into that, if you had to pick a song right now that would be your life's theme song for this season right here, what would that song be? Because that'll lead us into what you're doing.
I would have to say Happy by Pharrell. Yes.
Is that not my song?
I am happy. Like, I'm just happy.
I love it.
When
and it's
people
contagious.
see me, I'm just happy. Like, I'm happy where I'm at right now. And it has nothing to do with what I thought. Like the younger me, I thought that it was like stuff, cars, clothes. Like, I'm happy. I could wear the same outfit 7 days a week and I'm happy. You know why?
I love it.
Because I am doing what I'm called to do. And I am changing lives. That's what I'm called to do. I'm called to be a leader. And my definition of a leader is a person that...
You all in my notes, because that is like my next.
That's your next one?
Literally, I have that question.
Okay, all right,
go ahead.
Well, let's go ahead and get into it then.
Go ahead. What's a leader?
A leader is this. A lot of people think that you're a leader just because you have followers. That's not necessarily a leader. A real leader, is a person that makes people make a decision. If you're not helping people make a decision on whether to go left or right, you're not a leader. You need to when you come into my presence, you're going to feel very uncomfortable. Of course, I know how to make you feel comfortable enough to be able to lead you over. But if I'm not leading you anywhere, I'm not a leader. You can only be a leader if you're pushing people to make a decision to move forward or backwards. And so when I had a conversation with a good friend of mine, and there's this comfort level. So sometimes people can come to you and they want you to lead them, but after a while they get so close to you and they have this comfort with you so close that it just becomes a friendship and they're not leading you anywhere. And I woke up one day and I said, you know what? I'm the type of leader that I judge myself off the fruit off my tree.
Yeah.
The type of leaders that I'm growing. And we haven't really been talking about that. We just been friends, and I haven't really been seeing the passion in you when I first met you.
Okay.
And I just want to talk to you, and I'm encouraging you that there is something greater out there for you. And it's higher levels for us both to go to. Let's make that decision now. And I told him, I said, hey, if you just want to be friends, we could be friends, but we do need to define whether I am leading you or if I'm not. But if we're friends, if we just cool, that's cool. Mm-hmm. But if I am your leader, I have to come in and step in and say, let's make some decisions about your life and move your life in a forward place. Because friends and leadership is two total different things.
You know, so I need to be in this is your first class. This is coaching. So I just charge me after we get off the air.
Put it on my tab. Put it on my tab.
This is good. So you're happy. You're influencing people. You're pushing them to the point of making decisions. And how are you doing this? Tell us about your work.
So majority of my work, I think where I'm so passionate about is because when I was growing up in school, I got labeled. I was in a part of the DSEG program, which for anybody that doesn't know, it was basically city students could be transferred out to county schools to have a better opportunity, so to speak. But when that DSEG program was going on, I was in a classroom, and it wasn't too many students that didn't have the same, like they weren't like same ethnic background as me. And so they didn't come from the same place that I came from. And so I think that I was misunderstood because I had all these emotional issues going on and social issues and mental issues going on from losing my brother. And I didn't have my dad. And so those things really hurt me. But the only thing that they ever asked me to do was to perform every single day.
Okay.
Can you get A's? Can you get B's? Can you come on time? It was a bunch of rules, but nobody ever sat down and said, hey, I believe in you. I want to pour into you. And so after a while, after I got in trouble so many times, I got suspended 22 times in one school year. Like, they didn't know what to do with me. They just kept giving me these one-day suspensions. And so I said, if I'm going to get in trouble for stuff, sometimes I wasn't even doing nothing, but just my reputation, my personal promise, my personal brand said that I was the guy that did it. Okay. So if the teacher was writing on the board and somebody broke out laughing or something happened, she turned around and she looked for the person that had the personal promise of messing up while she does that. Mm-hmm. And I just started to become that. I just gave up and I became what people spoke. So it's better for you to tell people your personal brand than somebody else to come speak a personal brand over you. Because if you let them speak a personal brand over you, you'll believe the lie, and then that reputation will spread. And long story short, I just began to get into a lot of trouble. And now when I had my life changed, when I started going to church, I said, I am going to be everything that they told me that I couldn't be. And not only am I going to do that, but I'm also going to be a man that has fruit on my tree. And I'm going to go believe in the people that just misunderstood. We have some very, very brilliant young minds that are so talented, so creative, so much of a leader. They're not afraid to go out and speak their voice, and they just need an outlet, and they need some guidance and a platform. And I guarantee you they will be the greatest leaders that we've ever seen. And so I go and I do just that with my books, with my training, with my after school programs, with my motivational speaking sessions. I go out and I just give to them. And I've been seeing great fruit off my tree, and that's what makes me happy.
What would you say has been your most proudest moment thus far within your body of work that you've done?
The proudest moment that I have is I did a partnership that came. There was this lady, her name was Chandra Taylor. She was a store employee. At first, when I met her, I had my recording studio. I had a recording studio out at the St. Louis Mills Mall. And
I know her.
Oh, you know Chandra?
We graduated high school together.
Oh, really? Chandra is amazing. Hey, Chan, right?
I know Chan.
We were just on the news. That's what I was, when I was telling you earlier.
Yes.
We were together.
At one of my favorite retail stores.
Oh, yeah, Chan is amazing.
I know.
An amazing leader, yeah.
Yes. So, I'm like, huh?
So listen, it was a crazy story because I had a recording studio out the Mills. She had her store down the way, like probably, a few spaces down or whatever. And I would go into the store. When I first got into business, I didn't know anything about business etiquette. I didn't know how you're supposed to talk, walk, act. I had dreads. I'm walking in my meetings just like,
what's up?
What's up? You know what I'm saying? You hear me? And I started to feel uncomfortable. I knew hey, I need to catch on fast. And so I would go into this Banana Republic store with Chan, and she was just always happy. And she would take the time out to really show me around the store and show me the latest trends. And I put on my first blazer jacket, and from that moment forward, I just fell in love with the store and Chan and being a professional, like being a professional at what I do. Because you can be a business owner, that doesn't mean you're professional.
True. Correct. She
showed me how to be professional. Every single time I came into the store, she would make these small little deposits, and I really was kind of insecure. I didn't want to tell her that I never put on a suit. I never put on like a suit. She sold me my first suit. She just amazing things happened. And so one day, this was amazing. One day, I was speaking things in existence because I do that a lot. I speak things in existence. We have power to speak things in existence.
We're going to come back to that.
We're going to come back to it. Hey, look, it's real. Mm-hmm. Ain't no fluff. But I start speaking stuff into existence. I'm like, I want to do something amazing in life. I've seen a lot of things happen in my life, but I'm going to pick something that I feel like if it happened, I know only God could do this. And I said, I want to be in a magazine. I want to be in a magazine. I want to be in a magazine. I've never been in a magazine. I want to be in a magazine. I'm speaking it every single day, right? I wake up on one of the lowest days of my life, and guess what happened? Somebody called me to be in a magazine. I'm like, what? And not only was it just anybody, it was Cadillac. They said, we've been watching you. We want to be able to acknowledge you in the new ad that we got going on. So I said, what? Okay. So, of course, I went and hollered at Chan. And I said, Chan, I need you to dress. I need you to hook me up. You heard me. I hadn't changed yet. I said, you heard me, Chan. And she was like, okay. I said, it's going to be for a Cadillac magazine ad. And I don't think she quite heard me. I don't know if it was a lot going on that day, or if she just thought I was playing. She's like, oh, okay. She wasn't really that excited, but she was still happy. But she just like, okay. She dressed me, and then I came back later on after we did the shoot with the magazine in hand, and I put a letter inside of it telling her how thankful I was, what she had done for me. She didn't even know. And I opened up the magazine, and I showed it to her, and she almost fell out. She's like, oh, my God, look at this. She showed all her employees. It's like, oh, my gosh. And she had just became the general manager. She had just got promoted to general manager, right? She said, give me a copy of this. I'm going to get this to my boss. So she gave it to her boss. Her boss got on a conference call, like the district conference call, and shared it with everybody. They went crazy. He then took the magazine and sent it to Gap Incorporated, which is the overseeing company. Gap, out of nowhere, calls me, emails me and said, we heard about this amazing story. Do you mind if we post this story on our global website?
Yeah.
As a post, I said, let me call my lawyers real quick. Not just so fast. So they posted it, and out of nowhere, I posted it online. We got so many people just leaving all these comments like, oh, Koran, he's amazing from St. Louis. Hey, that's my boy, y'all. This was just such a good look for St. Louis. It was just amazing. And then out of nowhere, they invited me in an all-expense paid trip to do my motivational speaking in Las Vegas.
Wow.
With my wife and I. We both went down there. They gave us hotel, airfare, everything. And I got a chance to deliver my speech at the Villaggio Hotel in Las Vegas. And the greatest moment was me being on stage. But the news coverage that we got from that one day, I had surprised Chandra. I had some connections from a student that was coming into my studio. And I didn't know that this lady would end up becoming like one of the right-hand men to the county executive, right-hand woman in this case. And I called her. I said, hey, this woman is doing awesome. Is there a way that I could get like a proclamation for her?
Oh.
Like, she's rock star. She said, yeah, you did so good with my son. Definitely. And we surprised Chan with the news. We popped up in her store, and we just had a big party. Charlie Dooley came in, who was the county executive at the time.
Yeah.
He came in. He gave her a proclamation, giving her own day, and then he turned to me and he surprised me with one.
So you know what I'm hearing also? Taking care of your relationships.
Yes.
Key.
Yes.
And paying it forward.
Yes.
I love when you say, it was, I was getting things, but also you were also making sure you were paying it back.
Yes.
Even to someone who had helped you. Now you're giving her also some of that platform and that time and that space that you were having while you were on this high and being highlighted.
Yeah.
That is.
No, I want to do something special for her. You know what I mean?
But why can't we do more of that?
I really hope that that there are people that's listening right now that are going to understand that you can literally give your way out of debt and out of poverty thinking. That's all that I've done. People ask me, what's the secret to success? I give without any strings attached. And when I had that opportunity, it was so amazing because I had been given to this guy in my studio, this young man. And the lady, she hadn't worked for the county at all. I forgot where she worked at. But in the process of me knowing her and working with her son and molding her son, she became the right-hand person. I kept their relationship going.
There you go.
And I was able to call in and say, hey, can you help me? And she said, sure, you've been helping my son. I definitely put in a word.
Wow.
And that's how I was able to make this big thing happen for Chandra. And so we both have our own day, the proclamation, on the same day. And so it's just an amazing thing. And more than me having my own day and her having her own day or whatever with the proclamation, my greatest moment was to be able to do that for her because she had changed my life as an individual. She believed in me. She took the time to not judge me as a young person, and she believed in me. And that's all that some of our young men especially need, young men and young women. But from my personal point of view, becoming a young man that really never had anybody pour into me, I needed that. I needed to see that smile.
And what's interesting, it's not so much that she just went and set you up with all this, greatness, because we always think material and financial and all that. But I love how you say she showed you a suit.
Just showed me a suit. Just showed me the way.
I mean, that is just amazing how your life has now totally changed.
Yes.
From that moment of
she changed my life.
The change was starting, I'm sure, but and that's why you can't get caught up in just seeing outcomes immediately all the time, because it may be our task just to plant the seed or water the seed. Mm-hmm. But she watered a seed that was obviously there. And now look what has happened.
Wow. And another thing I want to point out about that really quick is that sometimes when you repay somebody and you give them a thank you, it doesn't have to be monetary money. I just wrote a thank you letter, and that thank you letter was heard across the world. Like they literally put it on their internal site, all the way across their internal site, Japan, like all Canada, the States. When you logged into the Banana Republic site, Gap, Old Navy, all their stores, my story popped up on their internal screen just because of a letter that I wrote.
You stopped, took the time just to say thank you.
And that gratitude is big, and it got me just so much. I just feel thankful that I took that time out. I felt God. Even when I was writing the letter, I was like, woo, she gonna love
your
this.
Happy. Your happy was coming.
Yo, my happy, like, for real. I was feeling good that day, so yeah.
So then you talked about speaking things into existence. Share more.
Well, we all have this, we were created into God, in God's image. And so when you think about that, if you really just take the time to really like absorb that, if we were made in his image, that means that we have the likeness of him, and we have the creative power, and we also have the abilities that he has. If we tap into it, it's all based on your faith level. And so it's never that God's not doing something. It's always our faith that's not doing something. Your faith is more of a barrier to you than anything else. It's all about your faith. You have to grow that intentionally every day. And the word says that the way that you build up your faith, it says that faith come by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. And so in order to be able to hear, when you don't believe in yourself, you have low self-esteem. Say, for instance, you got low self-esteem. If you just speak the word out every day, and you speak out words about yourself every day, affirmations daily, speak out those devotionals, hear yourself, eventually you will start to believe it.
And there is life and death in the power of the tongue. So if you say you're going to be in the magazine, what's going to happen? Okay.
Right.
If you say this podcast is going to be heard nationwide, worldwide, global.
Come on, somebody.
It's going to be heard. No, no, I'm teasing, but that's how it works, It's like and it's no difference than today, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. You know how we plan for different things. Okay, if you said you're going to do X, Y, and Z, usually that's what's going to happen. But if you're even like, oh, I'll never get that job, or I'll never get promoted, guess what? You're never going to get promoted on that job.
And I think a lot of people, like, they can feel that energy on you, too. Like, I think when you speak words, it literally is like just like the law of attraction. Like, it makes you this ball of energy, and I know for a fact that I think that sometimes we operate in our human abilities just way too much and we run ourselves down. But if you really took the time to build up your spirit, man, and your inner man, it also says that in the word, it talks about when you seek the kingdom and all of his righteousness, everything will be added unto you. It's going to be added to you. And so what I do, I don't go out and do a lot of work. People are like, I don't know what you keep doing. I'm not really, I work really hard. Like I go in early, I stay late. I work hard on my craft, but I'm not working literally harder than someone else. What I do is I speak things in existence, and I have a definite purpose. I know exactly what I'm doing. I work on my craft every single day. I study to show myself approved. Every meeting, every opportunity, I'm faithful with those small things. And as you become faithful of those small things, then you'll have much in abundance, and things will start to come to you. I didn't call Cadillac. Some of the greatest people opportunities that I've had has come to me. The ones that I went and tried to chase and do it in my own nature, it never really was like great.
Okay.
It was always the stuff that I least expected because I allowed a stillness to happen. Ooh, I'm starting to feel something talking about this stillness. There's a stillness. There's power in stillness, like work, but I'm talking stillness in your mind. Stillness in your mind basically means, like you were talking earlier, you and I were talking earlier, just take all of those different voices and put them on paper. And that'll still your mind just right there alone. It'll still you to a point where you at least don't have all this, being tossed around in the like waves on the ocean. It's like you put all those things out and then just come up with solutions to it. And that stills it right there. And then when you come up with the solutions, you speak those things in existence. If you don't have the money or the resources or the finances, I at least know how much I need. Right. How can God bless you and you don't even know how much you need? And a lot of times.
And what for?
What for? They say you have not because you ask not. And people, they always use it like, you have not because you ask not. But people fail to go to the next scripture which says you have not because you ask not. And then even when you ask, you still don't receive because you ask amiss. You ask and just, I one day pay my light bill, Lord. Help me with this. Oh, Lord, if you could only give me a new job. Oh, Lord, if you could only definite. God, I need $10,000 to start up my brand new business. I need $15,000, and this is what I'm going to use it for. I took my time. I went to the store. I priced everything down. It's $10,000 plus tax. Wow. And when you get down to the color and if you look at your carpet, like your carpet, the more detail you are when you make your request, the quicker God will show up on the scene because you took the time. You put the action, and it's like faith without works is dead. But that works isn't a hard labor. Like we're God's kids, so we don't have to labor like the world. When we talk about real faith, the action is just simply following instructions day by day, day by day. We often try to, as people, we get into our natural form and we forget that when God told Noah to build a boat, he said, I'm going to make it rain, Noah. I need you to build a boat. And what we often forget and what we try to attempt is to be the person with the instructions, and we try to build the boat and we try to make it rain. But God never called us.
And I call that sharing the throne.
Do you hear me? Only
one person needs to be on that, and it's
only
not you.
Only one person.
It's not me.
He called
it's not us.
you to build the boat. He did not call for you to make it rain. Yeah. And when you build the boat, then I will make it rain. Yeah. And so that increase comes from God. And I just feel like that speaking it into existence, it builds up your faith. And the more you build it up, like right now, I can literally speak something existing. If it lines up with what I believe in, you can't just go speaking out stuff that doesn't line up with your purpose, but there's an unction that you have, and you can speak stuff in existence. And it used to take like a year for stuff to happen or 2 years. Now, literally, if I have an unction and I feel it on me, it'll happen like 3 months, 2 months.
So I've moved from that. You said that there's a difference between the friend and the person who's like really in your. So I've just shifted. Did you just see that?
Yeah, I seen
just kidding.
I seen that.
I'm going to practice this speaking. So I'm talking about my personal promise. I'm talking about making sure I'm the one that's pushing others to make a decision. Now I'm speaking stuff into existence. Now let's tap into discipline before we kind of wrap some things up, our time up here. Because you talked about taking the time to be still. You talked about writing things out. I mean, there's just so many nuggets that have surfaced in our time together. How important is the discipline? Because I always think about even like a sport. My favorite sport is basketball. So it's like you can't show up to play in the playoffs,
right?
And you've never played. You know, So it's the same thing even now. It's like, I meet people from time to time that, I want to be in a leadership role. Mm-hmm. And they really mean it. But it's like, okay, that's great. It could possibly happen one day, but do understand you're not just going to be a leader, and usually they don't know of what. So we won't even go there. But they want to be a leader. So let's just take it, a business. So the company that you may work for now, you want to see yourself in a leadership or management or supervisory role. Mm-hmm. Okay. Don't you know you have to go through a process to learn how to lead first? I'm just big on process. We don't want to go through the process. But then there's also a discipline that comes before you even arrive at any point of success or getting anything that we want. It doesn't matter. Even if you're buying a car, there's still a process before you close the deal.
Right, exactly.
But what's share with us your thoughts about discipline.
Well, the first thing that you got to discipline in life is discipline your disappointments. I'm going to say that again. Like the first thing when you want to start doing something great in life, you have to learn to discipline your disappointments. Because often through life, we've been disappointed so many times that we fail to try to even ask for the managerial role. How many people actually apply? Yeah. They look at the limitations. I told somebody yesterday, I said, where I'm at right now, even if I had to go back to work, I would apply for the top position, no matter what type of, you got to have your bachelor's, your doctorate, you got to have your MBA. It doesn't matter even if I don't have that, I'm still going to apply. You know why? Because I'm confident in myself. And I know that you have these limitations that you say what you need, but really what you're looking for is the results. But what people do is that, I tried that last time and I didn't get the job. It's just office politics. Well, no, it wasn't office politics. It just wasn't your season. Because when you operate in your ability and you putting your best foot forward, if you don't get it, it's because it was not your season. So the first thing we have to do is discipline our disappointments. The next thing that I want to talk to you about is that anytime I meet somebody, I always ask them this question when it comes to leadership. If someone wants me to mentor them or whatever, I ask them, which would you rather have? I'm going to give you two scenarios. Which would you rather have? Would you rather have a quick rise to the fame and a slow leak all the way down? Like shit, just slow leak. You hit like, you become an overnight success and then you just slowly just become irrelevant? Or would you rather be a person that has the slow rise to fame? You get to the fame part and then at the end, you quickly lose it. Which one would you pick? And I've had some young people that say, no, just go ahead and take that quick rise of fame and just let it just slowly leak. And I said, no, that's not the right answer. Me personally, I am appreciative of the journey itself. Yeah. The journey itself is way better than actually getting it. It's like you want that brand new car.
That's where the blessings really are.
Right, you know what I mean? So let's say, for instance, you want to get a brand new car. You talking about this car and this car. Yeah, I got this car. And I want this car, I want it. And it's like the rush that you get to even go through the process. And when you finally get approved, once you finally get it, it don't mean nothing no more.
You're looking at the next model.
You're looking at the next model like you looking at somebody else's car. Or even with a job. Everybody like, I just need this job, Lord. Please give me this job. Got this job.
And then you get it and it's like,
and then you complain, I hate this job. You give them 3 weeks. So right there, that lets you know that the process is better than actually getting it. And I think that's why we go through these transitions. And once I learned that I need to discipline myself through the process and that this is a long haul journey, I started to appreciate things a lot more and just stop and smell the roses. Yeah. And when you get it too quick, it just really doesn't mean anything to you. But when you work hard for it, it always has more value to you and you feel like you deserve it. Just like the confidence that I have when I'm going out and I'm speaking and I'm talking about, people ask me about motivational speaking, like, how do you feel about yourself? I said, I feel like I'm going to be one of the best that ever do it. And not because of arrogance or anything. I'm saying that that's the type of vision that I have for my life. I'm not saying that there aren't other people that shouldn't have that same vision. What I'm saying is that I feel like every single day I'm doing what I have to do in order to be that. And we all should be chasing our dreams and doing every single day what we feel like we're called to do. Wow. And that's what I feel about disappointment.
So you've been talking so much about daily routines and what it is that you're doing, because we're talking about discipline. Mm-hmm. Give us a day in the life in Mr. Bolden's life.
The day in the life of Koran Bolden.
Walk us through a day.
So I get up. I pray. I get up at probably about 7 or 8 o'clock.
Oh, Okay.
I get up at about 7 or 8 o'clock.
Thank you, Jesus.
Thank you, Jesus.
I'm taking my notes here. Right?
I get up at 7 or 8 o'clock. I get up, I pray. I mentally have already prepared the night before of what I got to do the next day. I go through my list of to-dos, the things that I need to do that's most important, and I just get to working on it. Every single day, I probably have 2 or 3 meetings of people that I just either needed to connect back with to keep my relationships going, or either somebody new. I always put someone new on my list. So
thank you.
Yeah, we just met. So I always put somebody new on my list, and that's I'm always looking to see who I can talk with and how I can connect the pieces, because collaborative effort is just big for me. I'm pretty much gone most of the day, but then when I come back home, probably around 7 or 8, spend some time with my kids and the wife, and I read something positive every night, whether it's the word or whether it's something on entrepreneurship or just an empowering story. I always go to sleep with something good on my mind. That actually, for anybody out there that has bad dreams or anything, or you have worry and fear, your mind actually remembers the last 15 to 45 minutes. It has the biggest impact on what it remembers for the rest of the day. And so, like, a lot of times people go to sleep with a lot of worry and fear, and then your brain actually imprints that on your brain because it's like the closest thing that happened right before you went to sleep. And so you'll wake up with anxiety and wake up with bad dreams. And so I make sure that I go to sleep empty. I want to go to sleep with empty, nothing to lay on the table. I'm laying everything off. I want that stillness, but I'm going to also pour in something into me. And so when I wake up, normally 15 minutes reading something. When I go to sleep, 15 minutes, I'm definitely reading something, because I have to make sure that my mind is focused for the next day. Because your mind works while I sleep.
Oh, yeah.
It's remembering what it needs to remember, what's important. And I want my mind to remember that today was a good day and that today is a reason to be happy.
So we're 10 years from now. What can we expect?
10 years from now, you can expect, I want to open up my own school of entrepreneurship. I feel like our school system is it's an old model. It's an industrial age model. Those jobs that people once went for, they're no longer there and they're not coming back. And we're in the information age now, and the information age is very quick, it's fast, it's high speed. People can get information without necessarily having to go to school. And I think that what we lack in the school, because I'm very much so on education, but what we lack inside of the schools is getting people to understand their purpose inside of school, all the way going through school. Because when you understand how the bigger picture of how education is going to help you with your dream, you retain the information better. And so I would like to see a school of entrepreneurship to come into place that's self-funded, meaning that whether the government gives us funding or whether we lacking in funding, we have our own people that are sponsoring this school, and our kids will not lack in books, home life, and they will actually run businesses while they're actually in school. So we're not waiting for them to own businesses later on. You're going to have a business before you to graduate. You have to have an operating business, LLC, operating, and I sit down and show you how to build a brand, a model, a logo. So by the time you leave this school, go to college. But now everything that you hear about psychology and chemistry and biology and all, they all make sense to what you're doing. And so I want to be able to open up a school that does just that and gets these students to become the next biggest leaders of the world. And I know for a fact that it's going to happen in the next 10 years. It definitely will happen.
Well, I believe you, and I look forward to bringing you back.
All right.
At that point to talk about all the greatness, and then we'll talk about 10 years from that point, right?
All right, cool.
I want to applaud you. Thank you so much for bringing me your latest book, Rock, Paper, Scissors, 3 Secrets to How Your Failures Can Make You Famous, Business Strategies for Millennials. Those of you who want to get your copy and learn more, they can visit you on your website. How can they reach you?
It's KoranBolden.com. KoranBolden.com.
Wonderful. I want to also I would be just not right if I did not salute and applaud Lady Bolden and your family for giving you the space and the support, because it takes a team.
Yeah,
it takes a team, and I know how that dynamic works. So, Lady Bolden, I just applaud you for your support and the lady that you are to allow him to do the work that he does in the community, who greatly needs you, what it is that God has put in you. So thank you both for sharing.
Thank you.
As we wrap up and the world is listening to you and all that you have shared, My last signature question, you have the platform to tell the world just one thing on rethinking possible. What one thing would you tell them to rethink their possible?
I have something that I posted the other day that I think that's going to do a lot of people well. I often hear people say, this is chess, not checkers. People have often said that, meaning strategy. That's more of an industrial age type of thinking. Mm-hmm. Because when you play chess, the only goal is to watch out for the king, to protect the king at all costs. And a lot of times what happens when you protect just the king at all costs, the most valuable person that does all the work is the queen. She can move anywhere on the board. And the king can only move one space. And everybody's job is just to protect the king, protect the king. First of all, if you're a man, you need to step up and you need to be the one doing the work along with your wife, both simultaneously. So that's what I don't like about chess. Number two, the thing that I don't like about chess is that it's all about waiting too long. Some of the opportunities, when you want to rethink about what's possible, some opportunities only come once in a lifetime. Mm-hmm. The third thing that I want to point out about, I like to play checkers versus chess. And I'll tell you why. Because when you play checkers, it's not about just protecting the king. It's not about one person. Because once one person, the king can't make any moves, it's checkmate. No matter how many other pieces are on the board, everybody else loses. But when you want to really think impossible and what's possible, you have to make the vision bigger than yourself. And what I like about checkers is that the goal to playing checkers is to get as many pieces across the board to make as many kings as you possibly can. And the more kings that you have on the board, the more likely you are to dominate the game. So checkers is my game. I don't want to play chess. It's not about me. It's about checkers, building up other kings so that we can all be kings to dominate the board and the platform that we own. And so that's the type of life that we need to live. Give of yourself and duplicate yourself as soon as possible, because it's not just about living, it's about legacy. And if you don't have legacy, you surely aren't living. And so that's what I would like to leave on this show today.
Wow. So I'm speechless. I have all my notes. I have my book. Thank you for my book. But you do know you've got to autograph
this. I'll sign it. I forgot.
Thank you so much for making time to join me. This is amazing. I mean, I'm leaving with so many nuggets.
I feel real. You feel good? I feel
happy.
Good. Happy, right?
Happy. So thank you. I look forward to having you back. I look forward to even partnering with you on some different things in the days to come. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Again, you have listened to an intimate conversation with Koran Bolden. And to get more information about him, please visit his website at www.koranbolden.com. I'm Nicci Roach. It has been a pleasure. Don't forget that you already possess everything you need to be successful. Let's do it.
Rethinking Possible is a presentation of Covenant Exchange in partnership with RareGem Productions. If you'd like to be on the show or have questions about any of our guests, please visit Nicci Roach at NicciRoach.com, NICCIROACH.com. Rethinking Possible is another positive production of RareGem Productions. Thanks for listening.